graduates from SBA. We wanted to make something of ourselves in the industry. So we got together, we made a book, and it's compiled in our first anthology called Rain. Basically, it's 20 plus stories of their artist interpretation of what rain is. Some artists put the whole story revolving rain or the weather. Some just put it as a metaphor or just a small synopsis of it. It's a really great book. You should pick it up. Debuted at Mocca.
That's a character called Hurt Heart, and my story is a process of self-expression. So all the characters are actually internal. That one being the heart. There's also the voice box itself. Let me show you. This is the book. Follows a main character called the Key. And the Key has the ability to get themselves in and out of pain.
Do they call you in? Well, because of another issue.
And the character eventually realizes they're in pain. By that point, the voice box tries to take over and builds a head case that encapsulates the character, including a mouth vice. That's when the heart gets involved. And the character realizes they have the key in their own heart to help them release their voice.
Very cool. I like that. It's very...
It's a different take on the registers and panel system of usual comics, but it's entirely sequential in the use of its words.
Okay.
And then, as the character releases its voice, the voice emerges as a hybrid butterfly bird, or a butterbird. And then the character
I like how you're wearing the necklace.
The character at that point transforms, not just to express itself, but the ultimate form of expression is building a community. So at this point, the character becomes sort of a earth bird person.
It's lovely. That's cute, actually.
So I'm Worthy, and I'm promoting my first graphic novel, Page by Page. This is the first time I've actually had a table Mocca, and I'm really excited because I only first read a comic book 5 years ago, and I remember I first came to Mocca when I was starting to get into comics, and I wanted to check out the scene, and I was so overwhelmed. I was just sort of having a panic attack by how many people were making awesome stuff. And there were lots of like cute working girls, and I was just like, oh man, like this is too much information. And I bought a couple of books and I ran away. So it's kind of nice to be here now on the other side of the table. But it's nominated for an Eisner Award, which is a huge compliment, especially because there's so few women who are actually nominated. I was counting, and there were like 10 or 15 out of 130.
Stuff that I do on the side when
I know, it's so cool. Because I'm spoiled. I come to an event like Mocca where there's so many girls, and there's diverse group of people. And I think that all the comics is like that. So I think I'm going to try to go to San Diego and go represent.
Part that I want to tell you. When you're drawing the face of a human being, whether it's a boy, girl, man, a baby, or whatever, the facial features that convey the most expression, it's not the nose, although you have to draw a nose, because if you don't draw a nose, people are just going to say, where's the nose? Or they might be thinking, where's the nose? I drew the nose. The same with the ears. I put the ears on it too. And the hair. They don't have the hair. But the important thing to convey with the face, the two facial features that convey the most information are the eyes and the mouth. Okay, the eyes and the mouth. Now let's put a couple of mouths on these two people so I can dramatically show you that you're able to give, and we interpret, I'm relying on you, I'm relying on your lifetime experience and experiences and looking at people's faces and interpreting what those facial expressions mean. That's helping me in my work. So thank you for preparing your entire life to interpret these facial drawings that I'm doing.
So, you know, talk about both the Caravan and your books, and anyone else's books that you want to talk about.
Okay,
so start with the Caravan itself, though.
So the Caravan of Comics
Was you're the one who started the whole thing? Was your?
So the Caravan of Comics is a group of 11 Australians touring around the US and Canada. That's a North American tour. You can go to caravanofcomics.com to find out the details of everyone involved. It's the first time that that a group of cartoonists from Australia has done this. So
one this large. Anyway.
Yeah, one this large. Yeah. So people have done it individually. So we've started off. First event we had out at Staten Island at Comic Book Jones, and that was really awesome. And then we've been here at Mocca for the weekend, Mocca Fest. That's pretty cool. Then we're heading up north. We're splitting into groups. Some people are going to the Centre for Cartoon Studies in Vermont.
Oh, just like a private signing or something?
Yeah.
I like to hang out with some of the students.
Okay.
And then some people are heading up to TCAF in Toronto, which is supposed to be a fantastic festival. Really looking forward to that weekend. Then via Ann Arbor, which I don't even know where Ann Arbor is.
Michigan.
Michigan, just outside of Detroit.
Okay, just outside of Detroit. It's got a lovely sounding name. And I imagine it being very leafy.
Do you know? Is it very leafy?
Possibly.
It's Michigan, I have no idea.
We'll find out when we get there. And then we're off to the wonderful Quimby's.
Oh, okay.
Which has an awesome reputation. I'm really looking forward to
Wait, that's a really weird route.
That's right. Yeah, there are roads everywhere.
But you didn't create a normal route, because that's going and then going back.
Yeah. So it's sort of part holiday, part tour. And like I said, now we're not here to make money. We're here to make comics. So so if you go to caravanofcomics.com, you find out the details of everyone involved. And you can check out everyone's books. They're amazing cartoonists involved, doing all sorts of styles, from kids comics through to really intense sort of mature sort of drama. People who take the piss out of animators and out of themselves. So yeah, it's all good. We're having fun.
And you can talk about Showman since you're if you want.
Showman.
I mean, it is one of the books that in the blog I did the whole Caravan, but your book was what brought me to knowing the whole.
Right. Yeah. Well, this is Showman, the Brett Braddock Adventures, book number 2, and it concludes the unpleasant story of a girl who was working for a terrible animation studio. It's yellow. It's smooth and feels quite nice to the touch, and it has a 4mm spine, if you can see that. And I'm very excited because I've never had a comic with a spine.
That's good. Well done.
Thanks, man. Oh yeah.
Some stores only ordered pull lists. I mean, I was wondering if any of you guys, have pull lists and must-haves, or what your feelings about, stocking on the shelves, because I know it can be it costs a lot. As Robert was saying, you carry everything, and it costs a lot to put a copy of everything on the shelf. So.
The thing is, when my situation is a little unique in that when we bought the 2 stores, they were already pre-existing comic book stores that were family. In both situations, the owners were basically just going to close shop and go away. And we said, you know what, we want to see if we can make this work. One of the key things for the first quarter in both situations was finding out how many people were interested in having pull lists and subscriptions and people that we could count
You are.
Hello, I'm Tom Gambino, an artist from Frontal Comics, a small collective of artists that come together twice a month to make awesome, unique comics and other fabulous material, like this comedy album, The Bear Joke, by Patrick Riley, our head writer, author of The Narcissist, as well as head of Comically Absurd Comics, and also his brainchild, Myth vs. Zombies, a story of how Bigfoot, Mothman, and the Yahweh and other mythical creatures fight the forces of the undead. Spooky stuff, awesome read.
And I assume if that's your last issue, you have more online, right?
Yep, we have more online.
If you go to frontalcomics.com/store, you can always buy our books there.
Okay.
Also on sale at different comic stores like Manhattan Comics and more, A&S Comics, and Collectors Kingdom, soon to be Forbidden Planet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can definitely check them out there. We have dozens of books, including Pawn, one of our newer books right here. You can definitely check out Pawn. You can also check out Manga Nation or other books.
Into the
if you're an
Void.
artist or a writer, what we like to do is we're a collective of writers. So if you have any, if you have a portfolio ready or a script ready, you can bring it in. You can send it to me at pjriley@frontalcomics. I'm the managing editor. And send me your work, and we can work something out. We can maybe make your comic happen. Okay?
Hold the book up.
Yeah, that's a good idea. How you doing? My name is June Nunez. I'm creator of a book called Cabeza. As you can see, has my character Cabeza the Clown on the cover. And the book is about two boys, the friendship between two boys, and what happens when they discover they have control over a psychotic clown. So a lot of mayhem ensues, and it does test the limits of their friendship. I put a lot of myself in this book, a lot of my upbringing. I grew up in Washington Heights. I grew up in while the graffiti scene in New York flourished, so I try to put that in there as much as possible. A lot of b-boy graphics, a lot of graph in the background, a lot of love for the streets. So I try to represent. I try to represent the old school as well as the new. And come pick it up. I'm at junenunez.com. You can find information. My blog has all my updates, new issues, new art. I try to update it every month, so check often. And thanks for checking out Cabeza.
Here with Jeff Lewis.
Hi.
Cartoonist, musician, animated storybook creator, and tell people what you're doing.
Well, I make comic books, I make songs, and some other stuff also. And somehow, with all of these things, I make a living through some combination of art and music and multimedia projects.
Now, most of your stuff has been all autobiographical. You haven't really done. You've done most of it. Most.
I would not even say that because I do. Every comic issue is sort of a mix of fiction and nonfiction. And the nonfiction is not necessarily autobiography. I have a lot of stories about my father. And a story of like the history of the Guggenheim Museum and some things like that. And then the fiction stuff is very, very fictional fiction.
Really? I thought Bootshead was all about your real life.
Well, there's a number of things that people might be confused about, but it's probably not good to over-explain things. Let people figure out for themselves.
Is there anything you did this? You started out with doing travel books before you started doing these. So
yeah, well, I was doing.
So comics was comics. When you started those, was comics something actually that you plan to continue doing?
Yeah, I've been doing comic books my whole life. I've always been into comics, I've been into drawing. And music I sort of got into after I got out of college,
Ah,
and somehow music became much more popular and lucrative, and it sort of snowballed very rapidly for me into something that I was doing full time, and comic books fell to the sidelines a little bit. And I still try to keep up with doing comics and music, and I do both of them to some extent. But you know, you usually don't tour the world drawing comic books. That just happens with playing music. And comics are something that you just do when you're home alone mostly. So they're much less likely to be noticed by people. Whereas music, you run around and play music in front of people's faces, so they have to notice it. Comics don't have that same kind of outreach. But that's almost what makes comics cooler, because they're a much more personal and meditative thing, and music is a lot grabbier.
And you want to tell people? I mean, I know how to tell people how to get your stuff if they're not, because your stuff isn't really it's in some music stores and some comic book stores, but it's not widely distributed. So
well, I'm findable on the internet, just like everybody else. Look up Jeffrey Lewis, not to be confused with that guy who has the TV show, or that Jerry Lee Lewis guy, or Jerry Lewis, or Juliette Lewis, or Huey Lewis, or any number of other Lewises in the entertainment industry, of which I am just one drop in the bucket of the large sea of Lewises in the entertainment fields.
that Huey Lewis, Jeffrey Lewis combination has to happen eventually.
I did do a Jeffrey Lewis and the News program for a while, where I was doing illustrated limericks each week of the news of the week for the Guardian magazine, the Guardian newspaper. I think some of those, some of my illustrated news of the week things are still online.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Cliff Galbraith. I'm the creator of Rat Bastard, the comic book that disappeared for 12 years. I made 6 issues of Rat Bastard back in the late 90s.
I know Rube and I've seen some of it.
Then got
I have
bored
most of my
away from
interaction
comics
with actually
by Hollywood.
Yes,
right. And we were going to make a
So
TV show with Ron Howard.
met Raja in person.
The producer was the creator of RoboCop. And a lot of other very talented and exciting people. I was seduced by it. And, you know, who doesn't want to make a TV show of their characters? That's a fun thing. And so I moved out to LA, and I was out. The show actually didn't air. It was supposed to be on UPN, and as we know, UPN didn't want to be a network anymore, so they're gone. And as a result, so is my show.
It's still online.
And so yes, the actual 5-minute short can be found on YouTube. If you look up my name, Cliff Galbraith, and the Rat Bastard, you can find it. It's moved around a little bit. And some really talented people worked on it. It's actually a really good piece of animation. And not for my sake, but for your sake, it's a shame that it actually didn't get made. It's some pretty cool stuff. I kind of bummed around in Hollywood or LA for about 4 years. And did some goofy stuff. I had a store down in Laguna Beach and some other things that I did. And then decided it was, dizzle dazzle drone time for this one to go home. I went home to New Jersey, and which I adore. I wound up in Red Bank, New Jersey, and everything was great. You know, I got married, and then I got Lyme disease, and I was sick. I was laid up for about 4 years, and I was looking for something to do while I was laid up and couldn't go to work, and so I decided to work on this project here, Unbearable, which is based on some experiences that I had in New Brunswick, but also based on some observations by my wife, who was a bartender in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and some of the odd characters that would come into the bar. And this is a story about some basically 40-year-old losers. And so I worked on that as an animated project for a little while, and I found it was a little too much. And I was being sick and having the Lyme disease. A lot of times it's very difficult to concentrate or plan things out. And one day I found myself saying for the 3rd time that I was never happier than making comics. And
I started doing
when I said it for about the 3rd time, I realized what I said.
People have asked, like,
you don't
read it
to me to do something about it.
For me, I like the week by week thing. Like every week,
go back
the next day,
anytime I
I
want.
draw my few favorite things.
So I felt like, okay, how do I approach this? very, in a very small way. And the iPad had just come out, and I said, well, I'll do it electronically, and I won't have to make a big pile of books and lug them around to do comic conventions.
It's probably like, I did that, I wore that book like 3 or 4 years ago, and it was something I pulled together out of my dad. Sometimes they were going to be like, or, you know.
They told me about the Mocca Fest. Last year I did my first convention in 11 years, and I met so many people, so many old fans of the books, and I was really touched, but I didn't have any books. And I was giving out these things here, the postcards, you know, they go to the website.
Were like really poorly done. Like she was like, I can't believe that they bought it. Like, you know, she talks about how good she is at selling shit.
Between
and
reading
like,
something online on a website,
like pulling off like a funny
on an iPad, and that is a comic book.
So I think she's the first one.
A comic book is something that,
and she's like my
as an artist,
favorite
I can sign
season. Like, I love her,
and that people can take home. And it's an artifact.
But I think that the timing is so crazy in that show.
An artifact, an actual
doing crazy
physical object. It has some importance. It's a tangible thing, and it has so much more importance than some file, some electronic file. And I think that's what's being lost and forgotten in all this rush to go electronic and everything. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't have electronic files, we shouldn't have electronic books and comics and all the other things. But let's not forget, sequential art and real books, because they do play a part in our lives still, and they're wonderful to have. And I think that's everything.
I'm Justin Peterson, the artist and writer of Very Near Mint, a graphic novel series about a comic book shop. Volume 1 and 2 are available now. Volume 3 is coming out in January 2013. It's available at adventuringcompany.com, or you can follow us on Tumblr at adventuringcompany.tumblr.com. Very Near Mint's about Colin and Sam. They run a comic shop called The Splash Page, and in Volume 1 the new books don't show up on Wednesday, which everyone knows is New Comic Book Day across the country. All hell breaks loose, and a rival store opens up across the street called Across the Street Comics, ironically. And hilarity and disaster ensue. It spills into Volume 2, and the story gets dark, but hilariously dark. And it'll wrap up in Volume 3 in January 2013.
One of the great things about this book for me
I'm doing the whole comic strip, and it's online, it's for free under penguinsforfree.com, and yeah, I discuss a little bit family life or global warming or whatever you like, what you think, what penguins can do. It's about penguins like penguins, and a lot of people love penguins. They're funny, they're cute, and that's why I'm doing it, and people love it, so please come to my website. Thank you.
Ignorance and hatred rule, fill our worn-out brains. It's the same old songs of pain, and I've been through my life like a comedy, and everybody laughing at me, trying to kick me out of reality. One foot in heaven, the other in hell. I could just kill. feels that time is on my side.